Okay, so we're gonna start with layers. Your layers is down here. You can double click to change the name of the layer. You can, and you'll want to add one layer just for white background in case you have slightly transparent layers, because otherwise you get this annoying checkerboard thing. It's easier when you just have one white layer below. You'll also want a layer probably for your sketch or pencil drawing. It can be your scan. And you'll want to turn the opacity down if you drew in pure black, because drawing black on black, hard to see, right? Yeah. Then, so for your line art, which is where we'll get into curve tool, you make a new layer with this button right here for your line art, which is where we'll get into the curve tool and other ways of doing your line art. You want to start by grabbing the pencil, or the paintbrush over here. It's also, I think, the second one in on this little thing. For shortcuts on changing your paintbrush size, on a Windows computer, it's square brackets for smaller and larger. And so here you have a paintbrush for your tablet that changes size depending on how hard you are pushing on it. So you can go through and line art that way, but if you don't have a steady hand, that can be difficult. So I'll just put this layer as by hand. And then your other option is, still you need to be on this brush, so the second brush in, you go to this little pen, ink quill pen-like tool, and it's kind of like the line making layer on Paint Tool SAI. Click once somewhere, and then you click twice, but you have to hold and drag to adjust the curve. And then you just continue with your line like that. If you mess up your curve and you want to change it, you press Control, go back, and just change your little anchor points. You have to grab the anchor point at this end, or it won't change. So then you right click and you can press stroke path, and you'll want to choose your brush, and that should use the brush at the same size, and then so you can do it without simulated pressure, and it just looks like this. And that would be your brush if you were pushing down at full. Now to get rid of the little line things, you'll need to right click again and press delete path. And then you can also, just let me draw another eye or something quickly, and change maybe my brush size down. You right click again and choose stroke path once again, and then this time press simulated pressure, and it'll give you the edges of it will be smaller and the middle will be wider, which can come in helpful. It's pretty much it for the curve tool. Curve tool is great if you have a long line that you can't seem to get right. Personally, I like the by hand method. It takes some time, and I kind of did a really quick, horrible one there. But truthfully, even if it's that, like, it looks pretty bad close up, but when you zoom out, it looks fine anyways. And since no one's gonna really be taking your image and staring at it this close, well, maybe they will, but that's kind of weird. Sorry if you do that. Okay, and then say now, my nice completed head there, which is obviously line arted well and complete, you want to see it without the sketch. You just go down to your layer thing and press the eyeball beside your sketch layer, and it'll disappear and you'll only see the ones with eyeballs. Remember, when you're on a different layer, if I try to erase something, I can't erase the sketch because I'm not on the layers. You can only affect the layer you're on. Kind of obvious, but just in case. You can also, if you're using a lot of layers, you can make layer folders. So you could label it Doug thingy. Yeah, great name for a layer folder. And you can drag fold layers inside. You can also switch the height of the layer by just dragging them, which kind of, if you put the wrong layer over top of another, you can't see it anymore. Next, I guess we'll go the coloring, so just give me a moment and I will actually line art his head and we'll color it. Okay, so the line art for the head is done, so I'm gonna go ahead and color it. First thing you want to do is obviously turn off your sketch, because that might be a little bit distracting. The only part of the head that I actually used the pen tool here is the ears, because long straight lines I have issues with. Also, if you're completely done, or if you're done with your line art and you want to make sure that you don't mess it up, you want to press either this button here with the little checkerboard down beside lock. It's kind of neat because you can change the color of it, without being able to scribble anywhere else. So we'll just try, which is also helpful. Now, if I want to make his nose like have a green line or something, all I have to do is press that button and color over it. And that way, when I originally drew it, I didn't have to worry about colors. Or if you don't want to go over it, again, you just press the lock button down here and then you're not able to do anything but move that layer. I'm going to change his nose back to black. Okay, line art, make sure you did it on a separate layer because you need that layer on the top. It can have a white background. That's fine. If you did draw it with a white background, just the little thing here that says normal, go to multiply, and all the white will go see-through if you did it in a color that wasn't white. That would take too much time for me to explain how to fix it. So you make a new layer below the line art for the colors. There's multiple ways of doing it. You did mention in the journal, the person I'm making this video for, about a paint bucket-like thing. There is something like that, but it's kind of useless in my opinion. If you want to do it with your line art, you have to, and it's this button right here, you have to, of course, put things to the outside blocked off. And then press all layers and click. It leaves these little like white lines around. You can double click again and it sometimes removes them. But I don't really like that method. I'll just, or actually I'll leave that and I'll just turn it off. All layer. Okay, your second option is to go and to color around all of the outside. So just give me a second and I'll fast forward through that. Okay, so the outline is all filled in. You go to your paint bucket tool and you want all layers off and just double click and it'll fill it in. It kind of, though, when you double click, it leaves a very pixelated edge. That's obviously, I did a really horrible job here. And if you don't double click, it has this line here. So, okay, and your third option is to, once again, my favorite, do it by hand. I'll speed up through this again. Okay, so it's all colored and yep. So this is like the difference between the free copies. There's this one, which it's really just how well you did personally. This one where you have horrible pixelated things that you would have to go through and erase to fix, which can be really irritating. And this, which you'd have to go through again and make sure you actually colored all the pieces. So we'll just use this copy because it's done the best. So I colored it red. Oops, I don't want to color it red. Maybe I want the whole image to change color and I don't feel like using this little button down here to change it. I can go into Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation, and I can change the color of what I made with this little hue. Saturation is if it's gray or this ugly barf color apparently. Lightness is, you know, white or black. And hue is just all the rainbow. Toby is a black puppy dog, so we'll make him this gray color. Okay, I'm just going to duplicate the layer, which you can do by right-clicking. It's helpful to, in case you think you might mess up, or in case you don't like something, you can then go back to your first layer. And there's multiple ways to paint now. Painting. Oops. You can turn this button and this button on when you're on the third paintbrush. And I'll just choose a lighter version of this gray color width. And it leaves a pressurized coloring. There's also in here, of course, your size. There's a bunch of different paintbrushes you can try. Hardness is whether the edge is fuzzy or not. I don't really like fuzzy edges when I first go through. And opacity is how see-through the paintbrush you're coloring with is. So we'll just add some lightness and stuff to them. And this would kind of be used for non-cell shading. Woo, isn't that beautiful? Not really absolutely horribly colored. But anyways, we're gonna go to the upper layer now, and you can also do cell shading. And then change it out. I need a different color than the... So you cell shade it, then it's all colorful, and you know, fill it in. And if you want to... Oh, don't forget, you can press the little thing so that I'm not coloring outside the box. Or the dog thing. Because I know a lot of people don't know about that, and then they have to go through every single layer they did and go around the edges to make sure they didn't color outside the lines. Do it once, don't have to do it again. If you use the button. Use the button. It helps. So yeah, he's colored. You can also use the first brush and change hardness, or you can change the hardness with this brush and change opacity down, and I didn't change the opacity, okay. And just do it that way, which is helpful if you don't have a tablet or you're not very good with pressures or whatever. So yeah, that's oh, actually, you can also take this fabulously painted layer, duplicate it if you want. Say I just wanted to color with the same thing but without a spot here and maybe here. I can do that and then turn the little thing on, of course. Not pink. Pink's ugly. I forgot. Okay, you can erase a spot here and here. Whatever. Turn the last layer on. Then you can change it. This side. Which helps more so if you're like, I want to color this. More helpful if you're like, I want to color the snout a different color. So then you do that, and then you go into the image adjustments, hue and saturation, and you can take your already shaded work, change the color, and you still have the original color below. Duplicate layers. Use the little button. Save yourself time and stuff. You know, cheat for your drawing. I mean, don't cheat. That's horrible of you. If you have any other questions, the person who originally made me make this video, or anyone else, just message me or something. Probably message me on my DeviantArt, Gem318, and I'll make a video thing. Has to be a question about Photoshop though, or Paint Tool SAI, or I don't know. If you have another program and it's free, then I can mess around with it and try to help you. But or if you want help drawing something, I could maybe try to draw it for you or show you how to draw it. So yeah, message me. Bye.